Hello, cannabis cultivators from around the world. Jordan River here with another episode of GrowCast coming at you. So much going on. So excited. Membership at mygrowpass.com is accepting new members until July 9th. Go ahead and get in on it. If you're interested in our amazing, industry-leading $6,000 giveaway, that goes down July 1st, and you got to be a member. So make sure to hop in if you want part of that. 6 lucky winners this time are going to walk away with 6 prize packs instead of 5. I think we're committing to a 6th prize pack every time now, by the way. And shout out to Coconut for bringing on the new Mitsu garden sensor as that 6th prize. Amazing, mygrowpass.com. Make sure to Instagram direct message us if you want a free trial. You have to hit us up on Instagram. And remember that 10% of all new member signups go to the Cancer Support Fund for Elaine Keevan, the original outcast, who is just diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. Thank you for everyone who's signing up. 10% of your sign-up fees are going to Elaine. mygrowpass.com. Today's episode is with GrowPast crew member Rhizo Rich. We love Rich. It's a great episode. We talk about organic. We talk about non-organic. We talk about his grow and my grow, and it's a lot of fun. You're going to love it, I'm sure. Now, today's partner is humblegarden.co, Humble Garden smartphone lenses, and they are actually parting ways with us. So these promo codes are not going to be active for too much longer. If you want a Humble Garden lens, now is the time. Humblegarden.co is where you can find them. GrowCast is the promo code to get you 15% off, or join up with membership and use the 25% off code before Humble Garden parts ways. We do love them, though, and we appreciated their partnership. Humble Garden lenses took the same technology in light-correcting glasses and applied it to your phone's camera. You clip on their little HPS smartphone filter, and bam, you're getting perfect, crisp, balanced photos that showcase your garden the way it was meant to be seen. And honestly, they talk about photographing your garden, but just seeing your garden in natural light is actually really useful. You can catch some discolorations early that you might not have caught otherwise, and you can also tell how well your bud is ripening. If you're having trouble with the trichome ratio or you don't do that sort of thing, it's really important to be able to see your plants under this light. So humblegarden.co is a great option. GrowCast for 15% off. mygrowpass.com. Get in quick before we close our doors and get 25% off Humble Garden while they remain with us. Thank you, humblegarden.co. Thank you, all you listeners. Enjoy the Rhizo Rich episode. I think that's all for now. All right, enjoy the program, everybody. Hello, podcast listeners. Thank you for tuning in to GrowCast today. Jordan River, your host. Before we get started, always share GrowCast. Give us a good rating and review. Make sure you're subscribed to the show. Check out the Coffee, Health, and Science podcast. Oh, I did it backwards. That's all right. That's my other show. And for more growing talk, check out Rob Smith's The Homegrown Helpers, our sister podcast, which is a ton of fun. Today, we are back with GrowCast favorite, GrowPass team member, Rhizo Rich on the line. What's up, Rhizo Rich?
Oh, nothing much, man. How's it going?
Going great. Going fantastic. Thanks for meeting up the other day. Very impressed with your most recent harvest, man. I'm stunned at the level of terpenes. It's like my bag stank after I took the weed out. It still smelled like there was weed inside.
Yeah, there's some good ones in there for sure. So I appreciate that, man. I definitely liked this run. It was good. Had a lot of different ones. So
I know we may have touched on this on the member podcast, so forgive me if you're hearing a repeat, but just really quick, right off the top, which strain impressed you most this run? I know the 10th Planet's probably up at the top there. You grew a bunch of different ones, but which ones really stood out to you?
Yeah, definitely the 10th Planet. They're from Ethos. I think they're definitely fem seeds. I grew 3 of them out and got 3 awesome females. 2 of them look alike, but one has a little bit different structure color-wise and stuff. They look alike. The other one is more green. The other 2 are more purple. There's one pheno that you can see a lot of pictures of on my Instagram that is very, very pretty and has a lot of bag appeal and stuff and has a very grapey smell to it with some slight gas. And then the other 2 are more a lot more gas with a very slight grape. And I tend to actually like the 2 that don't have the most bag appeal compared to the one, the best. They just have more of the gassy flavor that I like. But they all are really, really, really good. All 3 phenos I want to keep. So,
Looks like it's Planet of the Grapes crossed with the Pluto cut of Quattro Kush.
Yes.
Flavors and aromas are heavy on the grape and citrus, backed by a thick, skunky spice and gas undertones. And
Yeah, it's a very tasty one.
it's got five-star reviews on the particular website that I'm looking at. So
Oh,
I've
nice.
seen Closet Ninja also do very well with this. Did yours bring on those dark, almost black leaves?
Yes, the one that you can see a lot of on my Instagram, the main pheno with all the bag appeal, that one went from light purple to deep purple to, just like you said, it almost black toward the end.
That's awesome, man. Fucking
Yeah,
right.
it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Every pheno was beautiful. Even the green one had all sorts of colors going through it. And I also grew like 3 or 4 other ethos strains. One of them was lilac diamonds. That one was really, really good. I think it's lilac diesel, maybe crossed to grape diamonds, or I'm not sure. It's one of those, but that one came out very grapey as well, with huge flowers and
Mm,
lots of grape and lots of citrus on those. So they
yeah,
were
man.
very interesting, man.
Definitely
I was
interesting,
really
man.
digging a lot of his stuff. All of his stuff that I grew out this run was very, very good. I didn't
Nice.
get one plant that I really didn't enjoy, you know.
Shout out to Ethos. And do I remember correctly? Feminized usually aren't your favorite, but this one really impressed you?
Yeah, I usually don't run fems, but pretty much, I want to say 2 out of the 4 I ran from him were fems, and all the fems I ran from him were awesome. I didn't see any intersex traits or anything. I mean, they all grew great, had great vigor. I haven't had any issues with the fems from him at all so far.
Nice. Absolutely love it. Ooh, just took a riff. A riff. Just took a rip. Sorry, give me a second here. Let me recover. I'm excited to dig into that 10th planet as soon as this podcast is done, basically. I'm going to go have myself
Yeah,
a little
she's a
bubbler fuck.
special one. Different for sure.
All about it.
In the case, I also agree with case Moors. I'm really enjoying too. That one's from Coma or Prolific Coast
Fuck
Seeds.
yeah.
That one's
Trying to get Coma on the
really,
show.
really
He
nice.
said he would come on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he would be a really cool one to have on. I would love to
He
listen to
looks
that
like
one.
a
He's a
fun guy.
very interesting guy for sure.
Hell
But
yeah.
yeah, I
He's got a
mean, I
huge
grew.
following. He's massive.
He does. He has a huge following. I grew, I think, 3 of his strains this run, and every one of his were fantastic as well. I
I saw
really,
he
really
post your grow.
dig the case
He
Moors.
posted your
I saw
picture.
that this morning. I missed it whenever he did it, but I happened to come across it today. That was so cool. I appreciate that.
You're a fucking talented grower, man. I'm sure he was stoked on that. So yeah, look out for Coma the Grower Pacific Coast Seeds, I want to say is
Pro,
his company.
prolific
Prolific
Coast.
Coast. Oh, Jesus, come on. Get
Oh,
it
you're
straight,
all
Jordan.
good.
Um,
Good
Prolific
stuff,
Coast
though. Very
Seed
good
Co.
seeds for
We're going to do
sure.
a breeder feature immediately. Yeah, that Case Moores looks awesome. Perfect.
I
Ethos
think I threw a little bit of that in
and
there
Coma.
for you.
Yeah, I'm so excited, dude. I cannot thank you enough for that. So I know we made trade the other day, so that was perfect. And I'll let you listeners know what I'm growing next because 10th Planet is up there for sure. And then now hooking up with Coma. So stay tuned. We'll see what's going on. Today's episode, Rhizo Rich. I love this episode. We've had this conversation a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
And, today's episode revolves around semantics, which is a very touchy subject in the cannabis world and an ever
Hmm.
changing subject in a cannabis world. So I wanted to do a little Growcast piece on the word organic. And I think that we're pretty well qualified to cover this kind of from an overview perspective because, first of all, my involvement in the coffee world and learning the organic side of the coffee industry has opened up my eyes to the cannabis side. And then also because I feel that you and I are relatively unbiased. You know what I mean? I think we
Right.
can. I think we can give a pretty good overview without stepping on any toes, and shed some light and maybe open some people's mind to this word that really gets thrown around to mean many, many different things. And so I think if we break it down into different sections and analyze it, I think that we can bring some clarity to the listeners. Does that sound about right?
Love it, man. Sounds perfect.
This word, organic, again, thrown around all over the place. And it really talks about several different things. And I'm going to break it down into 3 categories. I want you to comment on the categories, Rich, and then tell me what you think of my overview, what you agree with, what maybe you would tweak. All right, ready to go? Here we go.
Right on.
We're diving into the first definition of organic. When I see people use the word organic in cannabis farming, okay, now we're talking specifically about cannabis farming. Usually they're talking about what might be better named as a regenerative style. They're not using synthetic fertilizers. they're not using pesticides, and they're often tending to their microbial life in their soil, adding compost teas, adding microbial additives, things like that to boost the biology in the soil. That's really what people say when they say, I'm an organic cannabis grower. And that's going to differ from the other definitions that we're about to dive into. But Rich, when you hear someone say I'm an organic grower, that's basically what you're thinking of, right? No synthetic fertilizers, no pesticides, maybe some compost teas and that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And I think what really defines that is you're not killing the biology, right? You're not adding the salts, which knocks back the biology. You're not doing the pesticides. And that's organic cannabis cultivation, I would say, in my mind.
Yeah, you want to grow your microbial life and bacterial, all that good stuff, fungal. So yeah, you're more focused on your soil, the rhizosphere. You're not, like you said, you're not dumping a bunch of salts and stuff on it that's gonna, kill microbiology or possibly stunt it. You're usually inoculating more with microbes throughout your grow. So definitely.
And again, that's going to differ from the other definitions that we're about to explore. For instance, if you look up the second definition that I want to talk about, really the dictionary definition of the word organic in chemistry, how they use the word organic. There's a whole study of organic chemistry. That's what the whole discipline is known as. And if you look up what organic means, here, I'll just read. In chemistry, organic compounds are generally any chemical compounds that contain carbon-hydrogen bonds.
Natural matter.
Natural matter, exactly. And that differs from the last thing we just said in some ways. Because if you think about an organic cannabis grow and take something like a rock, the rock, the stone, will be friendly to our agricultural practices, your regenerative ag practices, your organic cannabis grow. Technically, that rock is an inorganic compound, right?
Right. Yes. And if you want to get really technical, same with water. It's not technically organic. It's a solvent, it doesn't have a carbon base. So,
that's interesting.
How do you have a technical organic grow and,
use water? So this is exactly.
And I know it sounds so fucking silly, but it's true.
This is exactly what we're diving into.
Science-wise.
Exactly. And that's why I almost feel that regenerative might be a better word for what organic cannabis growers do, or natural farming.
Or natural. Yeah. I like natural and regenerative.
Microbe-friendly.
Organic is a little too...
It's just a word that means many different things. It's not black and white. Exactly. And it's interesting when you say that, pure water in its purest form is an inorganic compound, but you would never say like, oh, you're growing with water. It's exactly right. That was a perfect
You're using
example.
Water.
And that's that's where growers get mixed up, is they say, oh, this ingredient isn't organic. And maybe that's true, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's harming your microbes and therefore not a natural farming, option. So that's really where I feel people get tripped up and they start arguing over semantics. Those are two different definitions.
Definitely.
Organic cannabis cultivation and the chemistry definition of organic are two different definitions.
Completely different. And it's funny because it almost varies, it really does vary person to person in the community. It's really what you're okay. If you understand organics, it's what you are okay with in your own head and knowing what you use. And
that's true too.
There's always going to be somebody who's going to come along and say, you shouldn't be using this or shouldn't be using that, or that's not organic technically, or this, that, like you said, there's so many different things that may not technically be quote unquote scientifically organic, but they're still super beneficial to a regenerative or natural grow.
Right. So, and then don't you also feel that the science is still developing on that? And like,
absolutely.
So even when someone is sitting there telling you, this ingredient harms your microbiology, it really is still up to you at the end of the day, whether you're going to use that and take the, weigh the benefits and the negatives.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think that's really the key is understanding these definitions and then making the decisions for yourself. And again, why there's so much confusion, Rich, is because there's no standard.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm going to move into with this third definition, which is what I feel is the clearest definition of organic as far as we talk about it, which is organic certification.
Right.
Organic certification is different than the chemistry definition, and it's also different than the way we do it in the cannabis world, at least in my experience. So let me talk about this. And again, I know that there's some organic cannabis certifications in some places. I'm sure they differ. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm going to turn my attention to is how they treat it in the coffee world. And this is really interesting because when I went down to Colombia, they weren't talking about their organic coffee farm. They were calling it a regenerative coffee farm.
That's awesome.
So they've made their distinction. They don't really use the word when they say this coffee is organic, they're talking about certification. Now, how does that differ,
Right.
you might wonder? Yes, organic certification requires that you don't use pesticides. Yes, it requires that you don't use synthetic fertilizers. It doesn't require you to add compost teas or add anything, which is something that, for instance, the Purity Coffee farmers do down there, the regenerative style. And it also goes further when it comes to things like transport and storage. You can have a regeneratively grown coffee, but if you don't store it in the right temperatures and humidities, if you don't follow these
Child
protocols,
labor.
oh, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that will break your organic certification. Does not qualify for this certification.
Right.
So again, it kind of cherry picks some things from the regenerative agriculture side, but then goes further into the production chain. And I imagine it's the same. I cannot imagine that it's any different with any sort of cannabis organic certification. So what I think might be helpful for the industry is of course, a across the board standardized organic certification for cannabis, worldwide, maybe nationwide at least.
I agree, man. We do need a standard set. Not like you said, we're at a varying state to state certification, which I'm sure there are some great ones, but we need an all around,
Well, I know
standard
in
for
Illinois,
everybody that can follow.
we don't even have organic product here.
Not that I'm aware of.
So what's up with that? We're so far behind that not only do we not have a certification, but you can't go to the dispensary, the medical dispensary, and find an organic product. In Las Vegas, a little bit more of kind of a capitalist, recreationally driven market. They have some organic companies popping up, at least saying, "Hey, we're organic." I was very, very interested to see that a state like Las Vegas, with less medical attention, is actually outpacing Illinois when it comes to organic production.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. We got a lot of people here. You'd think that we'd be able to, follow some other states and pay attention, but hasn't really been that way. So
that's exactly right, man. So
you don't even see rosin right now in dispensaries from what I've heard. So that tells you something right there,
Before we return to Rhizo Rich, shout out to one of my favorite partners, longtime partner, Gorilla Grow Tents. GorillaGrowTent.com is where you can find them. Growcast gets you free shipping on any order, and members of MyGrowPass.com get 10% off their tents plus free shipping. The makers of Gorilla Grow Tent were frustrated with cheap, flimsy grow tents that didn't stand the test of time, and thus they designed the Gorilla Grow Tent. The Gorilla Grow Tent is tall, strong, safe, smart, odor-proof, stealthy, insulated, and durable, truly transcending the term grow tent. It's got thick, durable canvas, steel interlocking poles, easy view windows, industrial strength zippers, double cinching ducting ports, everything you need. You can even get a 2-foot height extender kit if their free 1-foot height extension isn't enough. That brings your tent to nearly 10 feet tall. GorillaGrowTent.com. They're giving away a Gorilla Grow Tent for this Grow Pass 6K giveaway to our members on July 1st. Get in on it if you want in on that incredible giveaway. Gorilla Grow Tents, everybody. Go and get them. Back to the show. I would like to see some sort of certification across the board, and I would like to see more of this product on the shelves because, Rich, we've talked about before, experiencing the different expressions of terpenes in an organically grown bud. It's just, I've really never met somebody who smokes organic and then says, no, I'd rather have the synthetic buds. It really is, in my opinion, a higher quality product. And I imagine healthier as well for sick people. So I don't know, man. I'd like to see more of it. And I love what you're doing, for instance, teaching people how to grow organically and making that part of your consultation work.
Definitely. And, it's kind of like you said, it's not just about the way that you're growing it. It's about where you're sourcing things from. Are you getting it from companies that have good practices, like you said? So organic is not necessarily the best word, like me and you were talking about. It encompasses a whole bunch of things. It's not just what you put in the soil or feed to the plant per se.
Right. I just think that more
in my
certification
opinion.
could help, you know. And again, it's
Oh,
weird.
absolutely.
It's weird because what you do with these certifications is you give organizations power. One thing that opened my mind was fair trade and learning about fair trade. Fair trade is a private organization that you pay money for to put something on your bag. That's how these work. I'm not even really saying that in a denigrating way. Uh, I don't know enough to comment, but I've heard some very smart people say that you can get fair trade certification and still have pretty poor conditions for your workers. That's one of the reasons we call purity better than organic coffee, because it goes so much further than just the certification.
Right.
And again, it's like when you create these certifications, you're kind of creating organizing bodies to govern this space, which I don't love. But it would be cool to have some sort of stamp that at least you know that in this cannabis they didn't use salts, they didn't use pesticides, and you're smoking something along those lines.
I totally agree. And it's good to have a standard. It doesn't mean, like you said, that everybody necessarily has to follow it, but to have it there, and if it's an actual good one that, unlike you were talking about, where you can just buy into it, if it's a legitimate standard and
Totally.
you're able to get it does give you power and shows that you do have somewhat of a superior product or whatever you want to call it. So
Exactly. And
I
that's,
I
yeah.
totally think it's a good thing. And like I said, I don't think everybody should necessarily have to participate, because not everybody's going to, but the ones that do are usually get the, you know, people appreciate and know what they're about and understand it. And those are the kind of consumers that, want to look into your product and see your practices and if they're good and,
Yeah, and
you know,
reward the farmer for
reward
putting in
them.
the extra work. That's exactly how it works
Exactly.
in coffee, man. So that's what we need to take a page from. And there's a bunch of different certifications. Like in coffee, there's a rainforest friendly certification where you need to be
Hmm,
you can't be monocropping. You need to be planting banana trees and various trees to allow birds to habitate.
cool.
So there's literally like I can think of 8 or 9 certifications that the purity farmers have that are all different. They mean totally different things. There's the Rainforest Alliance certification. Oh, bird friendly. The other one is bird friendly, one of
I
the
have
hardest to get.
seen that one
Yeah,
before.
totally. So why are we so far behind? We don't have any. We don't have any of these certifications really across the board here. And I know it's because of federal legalization. I know the reasons for this rhetorical question, but I wish we would catch up, and I wish we would get our semantics straight so that we're not arguing with each other all the time in the Facebook groups, jumping down each other's
Yeah.
throats over
About
the
what's
incorrect
organic
use.
and what's not.
Exactly.
I see it all the time. I know exactly what you're talking about. You know.
So there you go. I feel like that had to be said. I hope it made sense. I hope that the listeners took something away and it didn't just confuse them more, but that's the way that I see it. Those are the 3 definitions that I see are wildly different. What the cannabis cultivation world considers organic, what the chemistry definition of the word organic is, and what organic certification represents in all of the similar markets like cannabis. So there you go.
Yeah.
There's my riff, Rich.
Yeah, no, like I said, I totally agree. It's not just an Omri listing on your package that makes you organic. You need to look into everything that you're doing with that run or, your grow that involves your practices and what you're doing and, where everything's being, where it's coming from, how it's being stored, just like we just talked about, it encompasses a whole bunch of shit. So it's not just black and white like we said, and it definitely varies. So you just have to kind of look into it and see for yourself and what you're comfortable with and what makes sense to you, because there isn't really a straight guideline to it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I just pulled up the official omri.org. That we put so much focus on the inputs, right? Omri standing for Organic Materials Review Institute. We put a lot of focus on those inputs, obviously, because they're being used in legal industries as well. And I think really that's the hurdle is we don't put any of these certifications on the back end because it is still illegal federally.
Right.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, makes sense.
Never been to the Omri website before. Can I?
Neither have I. You just said that. I'm like, I gotta pull this up real quick because
I
this is interesting.
I don't I don't like to hate. I don't like to throw shade as the kids say,
Yeah.
but Omri's website it's looking a little bit low tech, man. It looks like this thing was built
Yes.
kind of
Oh
like
my God, dude.
2002. I'm
It
I'm
is, man.
I feel bad. I try not to spread negativity. I just said something mean on my show, but Omri, let's hook you up with can of planners or something. Oh shit, Rich,
No,
that's
it
right.
is
The new
pretty low
website's
tech.
live, by the way. Speaking of
Oh,
websites,
cool.
growcastpodcast.com is live, so go check it out, everybody. It's a totally revamped website. But yeah, Omri, step up your game. I'm all about your certification, but you gotta bump up this website, buddy.
Yeah, and I don't know how true this is, and I could be speaking out of line here, but I've heard, with Omri and certain certifications that just because it has it doesn't mean that it's a fully organic product. Like some of them
Right.
only require a certain percentage of the product to be contain organic
Yeah,
matter
Wolfman
or
said
have
that before.
organic in it. So you really can't just look at Omri and think that you're organic, like I was saying before. You really have to look at the whole picture and figure out, is this a good company that, you know, that I
Yeah,
can, agree with and see that they're doing good things? And is this natural and does it make sense? Or is it, something synthetically produced? Or,
totally.
you know, are
Yeah.
they just a shit company that has terrible practices and you should probably avoid? So you really do need to look, and at least in the cannabis growing world, you really do need to look into everything as much as you can.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I think it's a good start. But again, it's really interesting because when you have all these different certifications, a lot of farmers, um, they follow the guidelines, but they haven't paid for the certification, so they have to be affordable for the farmers.
Definitely
And then they can be rewarded for their work. Some of these guys in Colombia are growing organic coffee, but they haven't paid for their certification because they can't because it's expensive.
can't afford it.
Yeah, it's like thousands of US dollars. I want to say I could be wrong there, but if I remember correctly, and it's
Oh,
like
I believe it.
yeah, so it's really interesting. And again, this isn't Coffee Cast, but I think there's so many similarities there, and we need to borrow from that industry. It's the same thing. It's a widely consumed medicinal plant medicine, is really what it is. It's a psychoactive plant medicine. They're the two most health benefiting plants on the planet by far. There are no two plants that have the wide variety of anti inflammatory and disease preventative properties than
I'd be
cannabis and
damned
coffee.
if they don't pair well together too,
Fucking,
don't they?
there is no contest, Rich. I mean, and you're right, they
Jesus,
do.
gotta have it first thing in the morning.
They
The both of
perfectly
them,
pair
man.
together. Yeah, so I'm really excited to see where I'm digging into neuropeptides right now and emotional states, and coffee is really tied into that. And yeah,
Oh,
just
I believe it.
really
The
interesting.
whole "don't talk to me till I have my cup of coffee" shit. So I mean, it totally makes sense. I mean, some people are cranky. They need their cup in the morning. It wakes them up, makes them feel good and happy. It hits those receptors. You
Yeah.
know.
And I was so thrilled when Dr. Talleyrand, the CBD specialist, was talking about angiogenesis, the same phenomenon that stops cancer in coffee, apparently present in the cannabinoids in cannabis. So
Oh
interesting.
wow,
So fucking
damn.
fascinating, man. Anyways, um, what else is going on in your world, man? You're starting up the Supersoil challenge now that your harvest is over, right? Oh, two huge things: your Supersoil challenge, and then also, don't let me get ahead of myself, but the breeding room is freed up.
Yeah, so I did harvest recently, so I'm just getting the main big flowering tent, getting all the beds out so I can move in individual pots. So each pot can have their own water only brand soil. They're all going to have the same cut, and that's the run that I'm getting ready to start. So it'll be very interesting. I think I have about 9 to 12 water only soils from different companies. Like me and you were talking about before we got on here, there's another company that jumped in here recently,
Total
Total
harvest control.
Harvest. Yes, they're supposed to get in on it and send a bag, I believe. So right now I got the Green Grow, Pride Lands, Purple Cow, Coast of Maine, Sohum, M3, Michigan Mix, Detroit Nutrient Company, Malibu Compost, this Total Harvest Control. I got my mix. I think there might be one or two more. So
So you're at 10, and then
it's
one or two more would
yeah,
make it 11 or 12.
it's going to be fun. Even at 6, it would be very interesting because, like we talked about on the member one, like I'm really curious to see mainly who can hold up to the claim of water only. It's not really meant to be a contest, but I get a lot of people asking for consulting reasons or whatever. What water only soils should I buy that's good? And I have my own mix, so it's genuinely hard for me to answer that question when I'm not running other people's soils. So,
Okay.
I just took soils from the Midwest, the East Coast, the West Coast, different water only brands, and that way I can recommend them to people everywhere and see who can hold up to that water only claim, as well as the part that probably excites me even more than that is to see how my cut expresses in each soil, like is it gonna have different structure bud on
Right.
some, or the
Heavier
terpenes
yield.
going to express
Right.
differently, heavier yields. Exactly. So that part really excites me to see whose soils express certain ways and stuff. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm not saying it hasn't been done, but I haven't seen anybody post about running, 9 different water
I
onlys
haven't seen it,
with the
at least
same
not in
cut.
public.
So
Yeah, I'm sure people have done
yeah,
these tests, but if you got to film the whole thing,
definitely.
man, we got everyone follow at Rhizo _rich _ICC. Of course, we're going to be talking about this Super Soil Challenge. I'm super excited, and I'm
Definitely.
glad you
It's
got the
going to be fun,
purity
man.
grounds in your Super Soil mix for
Yes.
this run. Get those extra chlorogenic acids and trigonelline and all the good stuff to your plants. I'm all about the mix that you put together, man. I'm loving
I
M3
love
right
my
now,
mix.
but I would like to run yours next if you don't mind.
Yeah, man, I would love to get you some. It's a fun mix for sure. I really enjoy it. It's got a lot of stuff in it, but not too much and just the right proportions, I feel. So
So there you go. We're hyping up this challenge. You guys look forward to that.
it'll be very fun, and I'll do some more experiments too. Like me and you were talking, I got like the full nectar line with their soil. I'm gonna run that for fun and do a little side experiment to see how that
Yeah,
goes, because
I'd
I
be
haven't
interested in
really
that.
run bottled nutrients in a long time. So it'll be interesting to run a full line of something again. And the
Well,
fact that
that's
they
the
make
one to
their own
do.
soil for the line kind of excites me. So that'll be cool, to
Fuck yeah, man. And listeners know
do
that
that.
Wolfman and I love those guys, and he knows the dude and all that. Used to be involved in other nutrient companies before Nectar. So yeah, definitely gonna follow you closely on that. I have a couple questions that this inspired about my super soil. The first one, I've been using this sand top cover for my soil ever since the
Right.
gnats, really, and it worked wonders. By the way, the gnats apparently they don't like that sand when their eggs drop on it. It's dry, it's hot. I
Tries
can
them
see.
out.
Yeah, I guess I can see why it worked. But I didn't remove it. I love the way it looks. I think it's super
It
aesthetically
does
pleasing.
look nice.
Yeah, I try to just scrape one half away, water that, and then scrape the other
Oh,
half
that's a good
away and
idea.
water that, and then just
Because
kind of
it will
like.
mix eventually with the soil and look like shit. I know what you mean.
So here's
And
my
it looks
question.
so much better when it doesn't.
Yeah, when it's fresh, it's really
Yeah.
photogenic. Here's my question: if this sand is kind of incorporating and sinking down into my soil, is there any ratio where it could become problematic? Like there's too much sand in my soil and my plant won't like it.
Oh, I don't know for sure, but I would think for
Right.
sure that, once you get too much sand. I've lived in places, on an island before that was no soil. It was just sand, or you'd find little spots that had sand in soil, and shit just did not grow too well unless
Hmm.
were constantly fertilizing and watering it, and almost treating it like damn near like a hydro or cocoa type of deal. So once you get too much sand, yeah, it's probably not good. But it doesn't. You can definitely have some in there, like you're saying. You can have a good amount in there as a top layer to keep those gnats out, and some will definitely mix in. I'm sure there's some benefits to the dust and rock dust coming off that shit.
Right. Yeah. So that was something
You
that
just
worried me
wouldn't
a
want
little
too
bit
much.
because I used quite a bit on my topsoil, because I wanted a nice thick layer.
You kind
So
of have to, yeah, for the gnats. You kind of have to do a nice thick layer.
I'm definitely not adding any more, and I'm going to try to have it incorporate as little as possible. And now the gnats are gone, so I should probably
Yeah,
switch to a
you
hay or
should be
something.
good.
Right
I've
on.
seen them. I've seen your pots. They look good. You should be good.
Because if
I
it's
know.
20% sand, I imagine it would choke your plant or something.
I do know, like, my talking to the microbiome people, and they grow stuff in the Middle East in straight sand, but like I said,
Whoa.
they're constantly using nutrients and stuff on it, but they just basically treat it like a hydro. So I was pretty amazed to hear that. He's like, yeah, we have a farm out there that's growing in straight up
Fucking
sand. I was like, that
sand?
is amazing. I would love to see that.
Dude,
It's
me too.
incredible.
Me too.
I
Well,
don't know. I don't think it was cannabis, of course,
oh,
but
really? Oh, that's what I thought you were talking about. Well, duh, in
no,
the
no,
Middle
no.
East.
It's
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, there's
no,
some,
it's
I know
I'm not
there's,
sure what it was, but it's something out there.
yeah, I know
I
that
don't
they,
know
they
what
have their
exactly what the
hashish out
farm's
there and
growing.
stuff when I was in Morocco. So I don't
Oh,
know. But,
definitely.
what was I going to say is, oh yeah, shout out to Urban Soldier who we love up in the Growcast growers chat. He was talking about Jeff Lowenfels. There's a word for it. I wish that I was smart enough to remember the word, but basically talking about incorporating every aspect of your plant's natural environment. So like adding sand to a cannabis grow if that cannabis has lineage for the desert, and like how
Right.
basically how it couldn't hurt, and like there may be plants adapt to every aspect of that environment, right? So if you can
Like their
incorporate,
terroir almost or something.
that's what it was, my friend. That's
Okay,
what it was.
cool.
So yeah, and he was talking
Yeah,
about,
it's basically, the terroir like they do with like wine and shit. Like the different regions it's grown. That's what it is,
and did I get that
like
right? How
different
they're trying
regions.
to mimic it?
Absolute. Yeah, I mean different regions are gonna have different terroir per se, if
Yeah.
that's how you say it or whatever. But yeah, I do know people try to mimic it, but I think overall you're going to eventually have your own because it's still your own region regardless,
Right.
But you definitely, I know what you mean. People are trying to, if it's a tropical sativa or something, they're trying to grow it more humidity or,
Sure. Yeah, it's
a little bit more
interesting, man.
tropically. I totally understand
Two
that.
sides of the same coin, like when Todd McCormick talks about Closet Stan, I totally agree and understand. And then that kind of being the other side of the coin. And hey, man, whatever floats your boat, I think that's pretty cool, though. The idea of these desert strains really, really does get me excited. I've talked about this
Hell yeah.
before. I would love to, obviously, when normalcy returns and as Growcast grows, do more travel and do some of the things that I feel like are getting underexposed, I guess, undercovered in the cannabis field. There's quite a few
Yeah,
good
that'd be
growing
cool.
podcasts now. There's a lot of great shows on growing.
Definitely.
I feel like we were one of the first, and we were filling that gap. Maybe cannabis and travel is the
First one
next
I
gap.
found.
Nice, good. That's great to hear. Maybe Growcast needs to treat cannabis and travel the same way, which is do a little like a Vice style
Yeah,
production.
man, that'd be cool, man. Like on scene, on location
What are
shit.
you thinking? You have you traveled around? Have you been out of the country? You down to go to the Middle East?
The Middle East? Holy shit. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've always wanted to go to the Middle East. I mean, it kind of at this point, this day and age, I think it's a little better from what I hear, but
What about a place like
yeah, I
Israel?
mean, is somebody,
Israel has a
yeah,
big
like
cannabis scene.
Israel or I think Turkey's probably pretty decent to go to. If you go to the right spots. I want to go somewhere like you said where they make hash.
Fuck
So
yeah, dude! I've been to Morocco, and I just wasn't quite
or
old enough to.
Morocco. That's what I was talking about. That's what I meant to say. Morocco. I hear it's very pretty there, dude.
Oh, dude, it was so cool. We went to Casablanca,
Beautiful
and I was
place.
too young. I wasn't even an adult yet, so I was too
Couldn't
young to like.
appreciate it as
Yeah,
much, but
exactly. But it was still life changing, and
dude, I would love to travel. I mean, shit, if you want to go, I'm definitely down to go. I ain't scared. That's for sure.
that's what I'm looking for. But no, I'm saying how many pictures of good, high quality indoor will get you off before I want to see some of that weird shit. I want to see some
No,
of the
I want to see.
Cambodian jungle bud,
Yes,
and it's
I
all
want to go
fucking weird.
searching for some, looking for some.
Yeah,
I want to see some outside shit. Like it's cool visiting indoor grows. I know what you mean, but it's pretty repetitive, man.
yeah. Show
But
me some
after
weird
a
looking
while, the
fucking
only thing you're gonna get stoked on is some new hyped up strain you haven't seen.
yeah uniqueness is what I'm after. So yeah, let's keep an eye towards that as things calm down. Obviously. So listen, Rich, I feel like that was a good overview. I did my best on that organic three-way definition split. I hope that it
Yeah,
was
it's
enlightening.
I feel it was. It's a hard subject because a lot of people don't want to dive too deep into it. It's touchy. Everybody has. I don't want to say everybody, but there's a lot of different views on it. And it's just something that's not talked about as much. So I think it was a good overview for sure, just to kind of give people an idea that maybe aren't really that deep into organics or maybe intimidated by it or aren't understanding
Or
it. Maybe it
confused
helps
by
them a little bit.
semantics or angry about
Yeah.
arguing over it. And again, I want to reiterate, this is just our opinions, what we've come to discover as we've observed the arguments online, as we've Googled the definitions of different things, as I've worked in the coffee world.
It's just that people should, with the whole semantic thing and going back and forth with people, you can get really sciencey and say this is organic, this is not because of the organic compound. But just remember when you find out that water isn't technically organic, like that kind of silly shit should make that you need to look into this shit on your own and figure out, like I was saying before, how
Draw your own
comfortable you are
conclusions.
with it, because
Yeah.
you can go semantics all day and get technical and be like, well, water isn't technically organic. So I mean, it's not like we were saying is black and white. So just
Draw your own
try to cut
conclusions.
out the silly
Yeah.
shit and draw your own
Be
conclusions, because there
compassionate,
is a
maybe.
lot of semantics in it, like you said.
I love
So
it. Totally true. Just ripping my B Nails pen before we sign off here. Thank you all for
nice.
listening. Stay tuned. Membership's open. Go and get it, everybody. MyGrowPass.com. The new website, growcastpodcast.com. Looking beautiful. Thank you to Canna Planners for putting that together. That's all. This is Rhizo Rich and Jordan River signing off. Oh, yeah, obviously follow Rich at Rhizo_Rich_ICC, at Growcast, both on Instagram. See you guys later. Be safe out there and grow smarter.
Take it easy.
That concludes our show for today, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. As I said, make sure to check out the new website, growcastpodcast.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming video content, growcastpodcast.com/YouTube, or just search us. Shout out to Purity Coffee. Everyone's asking about that. JR20 gets you 20% off and free shipping if you're ready to start drinking the finest coffee that I have ever found. And that's it. MyGrowPass.com, of course. Go and sign up for the 6K giveaway. We're supporting Elaine. Get your free trial by messaging us on Instagram. And of course, shout out to IllinoisCannaConsulting.com, Rich's consulting business for all your consulting needs in the Midwest and beyond. Jay Blanked did the beat, soundcloud.com/JBlanked. That wraps it up. Good luck in your grows, everyone. We'll see you in membership. Hope you're doing amazing things out there. Be safe. Bye-bye.